spotlight Dr. Amina Sambo Magaji, a visionary leader in artificial intelligence, digital innovation, and strategic policy, with over 2 decades of impact across Africa and beyond. From earning a first-class degree in computer science at ATBU to a PhD in artificial intelligence from Robert Gordon University, her journey reflects both academic excellence and transformative leadership. She has shaped Africa's AI landscape through advanced academic programs and led groundbreaking digital initiatives at the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, influencing national policies, startups, and innovation systems. She is also making a global impact, mentoring entrepreneurs through the Founder Institute and VC4 Africa, serving on international innovation advisory boards, and empowering young women through her nonprofit, She and Tech Empowerment Hub, which provides training in technology, leadership, and entrepreneurship. Dr. Amina isn't just a researcher, she's a movement. Join us this Sunday, 29th of June, 2025 at 4 p.m. Watt on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn to hear her incredible journey. Don't forget to follow Science Communication Hub Nigeria and BioRTC and share this journey with others. Welcome to the Story of a Researcher, powered by the Science Communication Hub Nigeria. Today we spotlight Dr. Amina Sambo Magaji, a visionary leader in artificial intelligence, digital innovation, and strategic policy, with over 2 decades of impact across Africa and beyond. From earning a first-class degree in computer science at ATBU to a PhD in artificial intelligence from Robert Gordon University, her journey reflects both academic excellence and transformative leadership. She has shaped Africa's AI landscape through advanced academic programs and led groundbreaking digital initiatives at the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, influencing national policies, startups, and innovation systems. She is also making a global impact, mentoring entrepreneurs through the Founder Institute and VC4 Africa, serving on international innovation advisory boards, and empowering young women through her nonprofit, She and Tech Empowerment Hub, which provides training in technology, leadership, and entrepreneurship. Dr. Amina isn't just a researcher, she's a movement. Join us this Sunday, 29th of June, 2025 at 4 p.m. Watt on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn to hear her incredible journey. Don't forget to follow Science Communication Hub Nigeria and BioRTC and share this journey with others. Welcome to the Story of a Researcher, powered by the Science Communication Hub Nigeria. Today we spotlight Dr. Amina Sambo Magaji, a visionary leader in artificial intelligence, digital innovation, and strategic policy, with over 2 decades of impact across Africa and beyond. From earning a first-class degree in computer science at ATBU to a PhD in artificial intelligence from Robert Gordon University, her journey reflects both academic excellence and transformative leadership. She has shaped Africa's AI landscape through advanced academic programs and led groundbreaking digital initiatives at the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, influencing national policies, startups, and innovation systems. She is also making a global impact, mentoring entrepreneurs through the Founder Institute and VC4 Africa, serving on international innovation advisory boards, and empowering young women through her nonprofit, She and Tech Empowerment Hub, which provides training in technology, leadership, and entrepreneurship. Dr. Amina isn't just a researcher, she's a movement. Join us this Sunday, 29th of June, 2025 at 4 p.m. Watt on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn to hear her incredible journey. Don't forget to follow Science Communication Hub Nigeria and BioRTC and share this journey with others. Welcome to the Story of a Researcher, powered by the Science Communication Hub Nigeria. Today we spotlight Dr. Amina Sambo Magaji, a visionary leader in artificial intelligence, digital innovation, and strategic policy, with over 2 decades of impact across Africa and beyond. From earning a first-class degree in computer science at ATBU to a PhD in artificial intelligence from Robert Gordon University, her journey reflects both academic excellence and transformative leadership. She has shaped Africa's AI landscape through advanced academic programs and led groundbreaking digital initiatives at the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, influencing national policies, startups, and innovation systems. She is also making a global impact, mentoring entrepreneurs through the Founder Institute and VC4 Africa, serving on international innovation advisory boards, and empowering young women through her nonprofit, She and Tech Empowerment Hub, which provides training in technology, leadership, and entrepreneurship. Dr. Amina isn't just a researcher, she's a movement. Join us this Sunday, 29th of June, 2025 at 4 p.m. Watt on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn to hear her incredible journey. Don't forget to follow Science Communication Hub Nigeria and BioRTC and share this journey with others.
Okay, now come internet in and one I really open. Just tell them that I said please. Hmm? For some reason, it affects the internet.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. We apologize for just starting late. We're just 15 minutes late, and for all of those for those that have waited patiently to start this program, and we apologize for postponing it due to some reasons beyond our own control. So first and foremost, did you know that behind the comfort of any technology you see, is it the iPhone you use to stream live? Is it the comfort of your bed? Is it the comfort of electricity you're having at your homes? Or behind the big names, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, behind those remarkable achievements that marked the civilization of mankind are invisible faces of researchers that have worked day and night to make that possible. It is not the entrepreneurial mind, nor the geniuses, but the researchers. Thousands of works, thousands of papers, and countries that are keen on development have invested a lot of their GDP into research and development. Countries like South Korea, Imagine Now, have invested more than 5% of their GDP into research, accounting to billions of dollars annually just invested into research. However, in Nigeria, it's been studied that only 0.15% of the GDP is invested into research and development. We ought to see more. But behind all those odds, there are some giants that have fight beyond the tides to see. They have made a difference. Today, we spotlight one of those, and is Dr. Amina Sambo Magaji, joining us live on the studio. We want to inspire the young ones. We want to hear her stories, and we will encourage you to ask questions in the comment section. We will read it at the end of the segment. For easy access and for our audience to follow us, we will be carrying out this discussion in segments. The first section will be about the personal and academic journey of our speaker. Then we will discuss more into her own expertise, that is innovation, artificial intelligence, with a particular focus on Africa. She is known to be leading a lot of initiatives. We'll discuss her leadership as well, and her mentorship and empowerment programs. Then the foresight and thinking, because this is what we are here for, and especially when we are seated with giants like this, what we want the society to benefit is from their foresight, their thinking, and how they see us in the near future. Thank you very much for joining us live on the studio, Dr. Amin.
Thank you so much for having me, Zaid. It's a privilege and honor to be here.
Thank you. So my first question will be, especially you, what really sparked your interests? Because we know in northern Nigeria, moving into technology-based courses is something that, especially 30 years ago, is something that probably is not really common. When we see women is usually into medicine, nursing, and all those kind of beautiful courses. But when you come to take your things, then with us, what was the initial spark in your interest in computer and technology?
Um, I would say it started from the fact that I've always loved mathematics, problem solving, and physics.
Hmm.
And as a child, I grew up very curious. I have a very curious mind. I'm always asking questions, always trying to find out why things are the way they are, and all that. So my parents at that time, because when you have good grades and you come back, with good grades after academic years, they always used to say, oh, she's going to be a medical doctor, she's going to be a medical doctor, the normal thing, right? So it got stuck into my head. And I started to find that, okay, to be a doctor, you would need physics, biology, chemistry, and all that. But then I realized that I didn't have too much affinity for it. And towards the end of my secondary school, right, I knew that I wasn't going to do medicine, especially because of biology. There was a lot of reading, a lot of very big terms, and all of that. And I didn't see a lot of my mathematics and my physics coming into the fore at that time. So when I graduated, I looked into the space of opportunities, and I kind of focused on computer science as at that time, because it kind of brought home my passion for mathematics and physics, and then my curiosity kind of all together. And then, of course, going down the line, I found out it had a lot of endless possibilities. And also, it was something that was not like the general norm. It was at that time, like you mentioned, over 30 years ago. It wasn't a subject that everybody was jumping for. At that time, people wanted to be accountant, lawyers, and all that. So it was really amazing for me to jump into something that wasn't really, you know, too obvious. But then I knew that the skills that I liked, would be featured in that course. Yes. So I would say I think that's kind of
Yeah,
how.
that's what interesting about research. The thinking is always different.
Yeah.
So you kind of like you attended ATB, which is ATBU, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, which is one of the universities really known for the engineering and technology tech-based courses. And you graduated with first class, which is really, really outstanding. And you proceeded to have a PhD in artificial intelligence in the UK, in Robert Gordon in Scotland. Give us the story. How did it happen?
Okay. So I would say, um, yes, I graduated with the first class from Alhamdulillah from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University. I remember in my first year when I entered, the story around campus is that you would do plus, 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 not really plus or minus, but plus at least 2 years to graduate. It was a 5-year course. It's BTech. So they would say you would need at least an extra 2 years because it was so difficult to make it. And I think those days, looking back and reflecting, I now see how, you really kind of even not just you kind of find yourself and relate to who you are, way back, as it relates to who you are now in the present. So I told myself that I will not do an extra 2 years. I would make sure that I graduate when as at due, except for strikes and all that. So Alhamdulillah, I was able to make it except for the few strikes, which didn't last too many months. So I graduated, yes, with Alhamdulillah again with first class. The achievement was great in certificate, but entering the workforce for me revealed a really huge stark reality, right?
Hmm.
I wasn't so proud of myself because, despite that I had a strong academic record, I could see that I lack hands-on experience, like practical experience on the computer field, right? Um, I was opportuned to be a pioneer staff from of the EFCC, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and at that time there was a lot of opportunities, working with UNDP, UNODC, and so many other international organizations. Being a pioneer, you get to have the first commerce leverage. So I struggled really to relate the theory that I knew into like real world practical things. And I think that kind of pushed me to want to do more, even though I've always been a bookworm. And like I said, I've always been a curious one, right? Um, so I really wanted to be able to match my certificate with my competency. Um, so it's like being a tailor and then saying you cannot even measure, cut, or even sew clothes. So how that doesn't make you a tailor just because you have a maybe a fashion house or something like that. So with that determination, and with the right support from family, I now I went for my master's degree in Robert Gordon University, Scotland. And of course, that was actually where the turning point came for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with my final year project. So um, in your second semester, you would get to start speaking about topics for your thesis and your research and all that. And there would be lists from the different research groups, right? So whether it's a research grant they got and they're working on it, or there's a PhD and they wanted to have a bit of it, for some master's students to work on and things like that. So I looked through those. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do at that time, but of course the masters helped me with my hands-on skills. But looking through some of the projects, I just discovered something called distributed constraint programming.
Mm.
So it's a topic that I wasn't really formally taught in my MSc. The MSc was in information engineering with network management. And I reached out to the research coordinator for that research group. And then when they explained it to me, right, what really drew me was the complexity, right? The complexity, looking at things where they are talking about decentralized agents working together to solve, combinatorial problems. It was something that was outside my comfort zone, but that really fascinated me to say that, let me go into this. Let me see how I can, how, these things that they're speaking about can be applied. And I also understood that those things could be used for solving like logistics, artificial intelligence coordination and all that. So it kind of, having the opportunity to work on that project kind of awakened this passion for me, basically of having the opportunity to experiment. In your masters, you're not really expected to do too much research and experimentation. Basically, build a system or automate something, was sufficient. But for me, I had an opportunity to experiment. I had the opportunity to work with some research student because it was a subset of a PhD research
Mm.
at that time. And it was also a research sponsored by industry. So I could see the relationship. It was fantastic. I could see the relationship between what I was doing, doing experiments, simulating things, real world examples, and then having an opportunity to see how this research is being applied in the industry. So that was really a great one for me. Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
and I would like to just add that um, this didn't happen without a lot of challenges, right? There were lots of challenges along the way, apart from yeah, apart from the academic challenges, right? There were other things, cultural, social challenges that also existed, because for me at that time, right from Nigeria, and then of course stepping up to the UK, the global front. I couldn't really relate because there were relate to I couldn't really identify, I think I would say, by finding other people that were like me, black female Muslims, especially in these not just in the field, but in advanced, computer science, AI, the research environment and all that. So it was quite hard finding mentors who like understood the intersection of where I'm coming from and the experiences I had, and to be able to forge me forward was those were
That,
some other challenges, yeah, I had to
that
face.
that that's indeed a kind of a really really interesting to hear. And what I can really see is what it means to have a goal and a purpose.
Mm.
You aim for something, and despite the challenges you keep going, despite the odds you keep moving. And this is what we encourage the kind of especially students now to have a mentor, have goal, and no matter the challenges, just keep pushing. Moving to the next question, like you've had extensive experience and you've lived your life in Nigeria, and you also put amount of your life also in the UK, in Scotland. How did that influence your own views when it comes to development, especially in artificial intelligence or in Africa, with specific example in Nigeria?
Mm. So the opportunity to go to the UK kind of, when when you are going to the universities in some part of Africa, Nigeria inclusive, right?
Mhm.
You're having courses and you're graduating, like I mentioned earlier, and you see some of the limitations. You don't see a lot of the opportunities, I think I would call them, right?
Yeah.
So having that opportunity to step up and go to a global front, right? I saw ecosystems where research, industry, and innovation were kind of like closely intertwined. I had the game change. One of the game changers was that you're not even thinking about just the exams. You had access to modern labs and facilities, right? You had access to collaborative networks. So within Scotland, we had networks with other cities in other universities in other cities in within Scotland, within the UK, and even much more away from that. And you had mentors. You had people who you could look up to, right? Who are already making change. That you can see them living it, right?
Yeah.
And who would encourage you to think boldly. I remember so many of my conversations with my supervisor, right? You would sit down and you're speaking, and then you don't find like you're on the right way or you're on the right or wrong path, or you're right or you're wrong. Because really it's really depends, right? So they just encourage you to really voice out, and then create the picture you want, think through it, and determine by yourself whether it's something that needs to keep going or you need to deflect and things like that. So my experience really deepened my commitment to saying that we need to build local capacity. um, we need to have opportunities to create mentorship opportunities. We need to do policy advocacy. And these things are actually the things that have been driving me for the past 8, 9 years, right? Because for
Mm.
Africa, the challenge is not lack of ability, right? It's basically lack of the opportunity and the right mindset.
Exactly.
Is where I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you made mention of really something that is really interesting, which is the intersection between research, industry, science, and we all know that research is really, really expensive. And
Yeah.
what you also meant during your masters, like the project you are working on was sponsored by the industry, which is kind of the funding comes through that. And when it comes to challenges, especially in Africa and Nigeria, to be specific, the major thing is funding. We have industry that doesn't support research, the universities that look for funding, the students. There is a lot of disconnect between this unit that's supposed to be wholesome, and we hope to see a lot of changes. And I'm definitely positive with the likes of you and the mindset that you made mention will reach there. So thank you, viewers. And as you can see in the message, you can type your questions, and the speaker will answer it at the end of the talk. We will be moving next into the next segment, which is the innovation and AI in Africa. Since we have an expert in AI, it will be really great to ask questions relating to especially artificial intelligence, which is the new word, the household name in every household. Artificial intelligence, AI. Everyone is talking about AI, and there is a lot of talks, positive and negative, about artificial intelligence. Some saying it will cancel a lot of jobs. Some saying it will create bigger opportunities. As experts in the field of artificial intelligence, what opportunities do you see this will open, especially in Nigeria?
Just like you mentioned, Zaid, at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
I remember coming back with my PhD in AI 8, 9 years ago, and actually thinking to myself, what's the best place to use my skills in simple terms, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and it was a term that when you're speaking to people about it, they cannot relate. But yes, now we're at a point where everybody is speaking about AI, whether it's clear or it's not clear to them, but everybody has an idea of what it is. And everybody has a level of access to it, or they understand how it works to some certain level. So there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of opportunities for AI here. For example, let me speak around, I think agriculture would be a good one,
Yeah.
or maybe the healthcare, or we can even look at both.
Or both. Yeah, I think both,
Yes.
because
Yeah, because there are two sectors that are very deeply tied to Africa's development and well-being. So um, to start off with, right, contrary to what everybody believes, AI is not about to replace people's jobs. It's about augmenting human capacity. AI builds technology that is accessible, relevant, and empowering. So, for example, in the agricultural sector, right, we're now having global challenges like food security. So, AI has the capability to address things like food security by making agriculture more predictive instead of reactive. So, how do you make it predictive? There is something called predictive agriculture, actually. So with machine learning models, right, and satellite data, so we all know that AI thrives on data. You can actually now forecast weather patterns, right? You can also monitor the crop health and also optimize irrigation. So these are functions or activities or processes of agriculture that you that have a direct impact on the outcome of your produce, right?
yeah,
But with this technology, yes, it's a game changer. And also our smallholder farmers, right? They can have access to AI, for example, advisory tools, right? That would make a difference between a failed season and a successful harvest. So, for example, having like a basic AI chatbot in maybe Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo, or the language they understand, where at the time when literacy is not now just English literacy, literacy is about digital literacy, right? I'm sure we'd get to discuss things around that. So,
mm,
so whether you can speak English or not, you can have access to AI. Is technology, and AI is democratized in such a way that it doesn't matter. So imagine having an AI chatbot in our own local languages, providing tips or early warning sign for pest outbreaks. Okay, this is going to happen, or because data is being collected and analyzed. So these are the opportunities that we can have in agriculture. AI can leverage agriculture. AI can be used in the agricultural sector to make a huge difference. Similarly, coming to the health sector, we know that access to health is still a challenge. A lot of people that can afford it, once there is a problem, would leave, would go outside the country, to get proper health care. But AI has the ability to, dramatically increase access and also improve diagnostics. So those are the two main challenges, because if you're not able to diagnose diseases, how would you be able to cure it? So things like computer vision tools, they can help in early detection of diseases like tuberculosis, right? Cancer, like cervical cancer, using simple imaging devices. Just take a picture and then it will analyze it, and because the algorithms are already written and functional within the devices. Um, AI can also automate records in almost all sectors, the agricultural sector, the health sector. And we are already seeing these things happening. A lot of private hospitals, especially in Abuja, you now have records. You don't go around with paper files and things like that. You go around, with just your number, your ID, your health insurance number, or the likes of it, and you're able to get your record and move from one pharmacy to doctor and to lab and all that, right? And at any point in time, that keeps your record, and your data becomes data that can be used to drive, insights around your health challenges. So, Africa has already built a good momentum and penetration in the use of mobile devices. So that kind of builds the foundation for us to build more applications, apps, right, and other solutions, especially in the rural areas. Although there are challenges around it for making it happen, but
Yeah.
there's also a lot of possibilities. And for me, technology innovation, some technology innovation is something that has been very dear to my heart. And I see that beyond all these technologies I've mentioned, between predictive agriculture and all these things, right? The opportunity for Africa is that we can develop our own, um, local, I wouldn't say local, I would say homegrown solutions,
Yeah.
looking at our own specific needs to align with it. Yeah.
I
So
think that is really, really important. And you have highlighted a lot of sectors, a lot of research questions in which if we have curious students, especially listening to this segment, will be able to look for areas to want to specialize. But as you work in NITDA, which is one of the commanding agencies in Nigeria responsible for computation, something like that, artificial intelligence, which is the new watchword now. Policy is very important. Do you have any policy? For example, now what you have discussed, for example, you wanted to have a collaborative work with the Ministry of Agriculture or the Ministry of Health in order to see we have improved the way we do our agriculture in the country for food scarcity. We have improved our health care to avoid health tourism. Is there any policy at the level of NITDA, or is this something that is in the pipeline?
Yes. So NIDA is already is NIDA is the IT development and regulatory agency in the country.
Okay.
So what NIDA does is to churn out standards, guidelines, and frameworks for the use and development of technology. So dig, the interesting thing is that within the country there is a national agenda on there's a national digital agenda from way back, from quite a number of years now, right? Where the country has identified the need for digital transformation, and key pillars have been identified, right? From building capacity, that skills, to infrastructure, to the policies that you mentioned, enabling environment, and so many of those. So as a result of implementing that, right, there has been different policies springing out. We have blockchains around the use and development of blockchain. We have one on the use and development of artificial intelligence. And if you're following closely what's happening in the country, our ministry has been working on, has put together a group of top people within the AI sector in different sectors, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, to speak around, the word is escaping me, but to speak around how we can implement AI safely and ethically in the different sectors. So we do have policies. For example, the NDEPS policy is the digital economy policy. We have one that was recently done within the last 2 years as an enhancement of that one, the initial one. We have, for example, the National Digital Literacy Framework, which is like a guide around creating structure and a unified approach to digital literacy across Nigeria. We looked at the different existing frameworks across the world, UNESCO and a lot of that, and customized it for Nigeria's client so that we're able to work on that. We also have the Startup Act, which is also very important. It looks at how we can foster the growth of innovation and digital transformation within the country by encouraging entrepreneurship. So there are a lot of these. There's also we have the data strategy. We have the national data strategy, which looks at, we can't even speak about AI if we're not speaking about data.
Exactly.
Yes, so we have a national data strategy where we're looking at how to work with the different sectors within the country and the different ecosystem to start collecting the right data and creating interoperability frameworks that we can work and leverage together. So there is a lot happening. I would say we're actually um, moving in the right path. We just, of course, there's always need to do more until we get to the destination and we start to feel the impact that we need. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really really interesting. So let's kind of we've had a lot of discussions and really really thrilling. Let's move into the next segment, which is leadership and policy work. As usual, I would like to send a reminder to all the viewers to send in your questions and comments, and we will address them at the end of this segment. You have pioneered at NITDA. You have pioneered the establishment of digital literacy and capacity development department, and you also later serve as national coordinator for the Office of National Digital Innovation. And so, with this, what you have pioneered, what has been the impact so far? What has been the impact in terms in the Nigerian ecosystem in terms of what is
Okay.
what is the digital literacy first of all, and what is the impact?
Okay. So to start with, I in 2016, yeah, 2006, 17 actually, yeah, 16, 17, 17. I had the privilege to lead the office for now Nigerian Digital Innovation, right? I was the national coordinator. I was that first before the digital literacy portfolio. So within that, within the office for the Nigerian Digital Innovation, um, the office had started less than a year before I joined, and most of the programs they were doing were startup meetups between Lagos and Abuja, right? And after analyzing, and looking at the outcome or the impact of those activities, we realized that Nigeria, it's a huge nation. At that time we were almost 200. We're looking at a population of almost 200 million. Of course, we've surpassed that now. And we had 36 states and Abuja, of course, FCT. So we now decided to move these conversations to build more digital innovation ecosystems right across the country. So we started having ecosystem meetups in the 6 geopolitical regions. And then when we go, these conversations are not just about a federal government agency coming to a state to host an event. We would visit the state prior to that time, and then we would get in touch or engage, government, engage investors within there, the academia. So instead of just holding events, what we're working on is building ecosystems, regional ecosystems in these different regions. And this is what today you see from 2016-17 to date, that almost every state in Nigeria has functional hubs. There are relationships occurring between industry and academia. There are lots of these startup events happening. And when you have like a competition or a challenge, you can see submissions from Nigerians across the country. And with it, at the time when I was at OIIE, we also started speaking about policy, because understanding that for innovation and entrepreneurship to technology, innovation, entrepreneurship to thrive, you need an ecosystem approach. We carefully structured the office so that we remain government and we remain a facilitator by creating enabling policies. So we started off the conversation around policies. We put together and developed the Nigerian ICT Innovation Entrepreneurship Vision in partnership with some top grants that we got internationally. And that metamorphosed into the NDEPs I mentioned earlier. And today we see what we call the Startup Act. A lot of the recommendations that we got on having conversation and town hall meetings across the country were now put together, curated, and it's now informed a lot of what you see today as the Startup Acts that we have, where, as a Nigerian, you can, aspiring entrepreneur or an entrepreneur, early stage entrepreneur, you can sign up to those and have a lot of benefits with that. And also, speaking about digital literacy, like I mentioned, now we're not speaking about as a globe, the world completely is not looking at just literacy, because everything is being driven by digital and technology, right? So digital literacy is the basic level of education that you need to be able to leverage on the technology and get its benefit. You need to use it. You need to make sure that you're using it like safely. You need to have, we needed to define it for the country. So one of the first things we did when I moved to pioneer digital literacy and capacity development is to understudy, like I mentioned, existing frameworks, and then we came up with the Nigerian Digital Literacy Framework, which is a structured way of addressing digital literacy in Nigeria. And as a result of that, it has brought about public-private academia collaborations, because you can now see edtech companies working with tertiary institutions, to make sure that these skills are being taught. You can also see how digital inclusion is being achieved, because we're now working with, for example, influencers, whether it's your actors, actresses, or social media influencers, to make sure that this digital literacy doesn't just stay within the rural area, within the urban area. We're going to the rural areas, in partnership with key people to get it there, whether traditional leaders, so many of that. A lot of approach is being taken in implementing that. And of course, this is not just a NIDA initiative. It churns out of the a national agenda that has like a long-term impact on education, employment, even governance, and of course the development of or maybe national competitiveness for the country. And also this framework is also being implemented through educational curriculums. There's now partnerships, between the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy to see how digital, literacy, digital skills can be inculcated into the academia, because that is the fastest way to see it best implemented. So yes.
That's really interesting, and kind of I hope our viewers are not find it really hard to follow, because there's a lot of policy talks now. It's
Okay,
really,
I'll take a note of that and step back a little bit next time.
yeah,
Your next
yeah,
future.
but I kind of really enjoyed it because I know some of us are really lazy and we don't even know that those policies really exist. And that is
Correct.
what you have a total disjoint between people complaining about problems and not seeking to solve the problems in the right way. So as youths growing up, like leaving high school, secondary school, early in your universities, you have to have a focus, you have to have a plan, and you have to be reading a lot because that is where you get to know about these policies. That is, you get to know about people behind those policies and people that are always willing to help. But if you have to make the zeal, the grit from the student has to be like really, really high. And we hope that listeners and people that will listen to this program will, especially those which a lot of youths now engaging in social media influencing, online marketing, there is a lot of avenue in which the policy and artificial intelligence would really help improve the
Right.
way you market whatever you are doing. You just need to seek for the right people, and we are lucky to have the right person today in the studio. So let's move forward. Um, so this is we'll come back to, I'm a researcher, so definitely what I'm always interested in is in research grants. And as a person that is interested, like is really um, into policy making, have you ever involved in any policy that involves improving the research grants in Nigeria?
Um, Not directly, but I remember when we started speaking about the innovation entrepreneurship policy, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have a budget for that, right? Yes, I didn't have a budget for that because it wasn't part of the portfolio, the my job outline, right?
Yeah.
So I had to look for, innovative ways of how to get such grants. So I reached out to development partners like GIZ, JICA, saying this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to build policy around this and that. Like I mentioned to you, not because there's no research grant for policy, right? Or
Mm.
policy and things like that, but because the office at that time was had no focus on policy, right? It was about events and
Yeah.
engagements. So reaching out to them, and also being we have a lot of support from them now. It's still ongoing, almost over 5 years. Both JICA and GIZ are still working with NIDA closely, because they can clearly see the relevance of what they're trying to do, and how it would create impact if they work with the agency. So that, and also being a researcher, has been some of the thought provoking things that has been happening within me. So about 3 weeks ago, I was in Ghana,
Okay.
and yes, I was in Ghana for 4 days, and I had the opportunity to meet a Kenyan professor, right?
Mm.
Not meet the Kenyan professor, but be in a class where a Kenyan professor actually taught us how to, apply for grants, and how to big grants, billion-dollar grants,
Yeah.
so that you can create impact, you can create sustainability and things like that. It was fantastic. It was a different education for me, right? And I think it's one of the most important things we need to look at as a country
Mm.
if we want to succeed.
Yeah.
I love the way you started off this podcast by this conversation by mentioning that the amount of funding you put into research is that kind of almost directly proportional to the innovation
Yeah.
and the technology that no to the innovation and the impact that you see in your economy.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't sit down here and be saying we want to this to happen, that to happen, without realizing that we need to invest very well. We need to invest very well in ensuring that there's funding for this research, and this research are not quick wins.
Mm.
So we can't think, it's just a 1 year, 2 year thing. It's a build up. So, like I mentioned during my master's, I was funded by the Nigerian government through the Petroleum and Technology Development Fund. But the research topic is a subset of a PhD. So while there are students doing PhD within the university, they felt there was a little subset that they wouldn't mind a master's student to look into it. Although the person doing the PhD was being sponsored through an industry partnership. So as a country, we need to be very intentional in promoting, in working on policies around getting research grants. So, for example, we need to, just like we've been working on on incentives for startups and creating businesses, we need to also create incentives, for example, private sector to fund applied research, incentives around, tax breaks as well, and R&D credits and things like that. We need to also have, I know, Nigeria being a very big country, we have many sectors doing different things. So a lot of this research is being focused around the Ministry of Education, your UBEC and all those. So we need to continue to or increase the amount of money we put in our national research fund. We need to make it transparent, merit-based, so that the right people can have access to it. And also we need to continue to invest in training, young Nigerians, researchers on grant writing. Look at me. I'm doing grant writing only very recently, because I realized the kind of things I would like to do, the kind of research I would like to do, initiatives, the kind of impact I want to create needs to go way beyond what I can offer. It needs to have a bigger impact. So yes, I learned grant writing, during my PhD and along the way, but I never really focused or had opportunities to keep applying for them, because I always was in positions where I had some grant or some allocation to be able to implement the projects I wanted to do. So investment in training on the grant writing, on publishing, on data analysis, it's a no-brainer now. Whatever you are studying, whatever your field, you need to understand the concept of data analysis and also research ethics. So having policies involving research grants are things that are really things we need to look at and be intentional about, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's kind of like really interesting aspect you have touched in terms of especially the framework, the university. I don't know, like, are we not aware? But the simplest way to run a university, we have a lot of companies in Nigeria. I don't know. It might be possible, but I don't know. Like, we have significant number of companies that are supporting research to improve their own capabilities in terms of whatever they deliver. Those are the things that the companies, like entrepreneurs, need to be aware. Charitable organizations need to be aware. Like, we need to be sponsoring students. We need to be sponsoring research. It can be as simple of social, how just people react to news is something that is researched. How people, social research, health
Or
research,
even things like fake news,
fake news, exactly. So we need to be
especially
like
in the time of AI, things are popping
AI
up every minute. So how are you sure it's
every
real or
minute.
yeah.
Yeah, we have to be intentional, and I hope that stakeholders will kind of like really uh, get to hear this segment of our talk, and those are responsible will kind of put in the required energy to develop this in our beloved country, Nigeria. So, moving into the next segment of your empowerment and mentorship, this is I'm so much looking to this. Our speaker today is the founder of the She and Tech Empowerment Hub. You can check it online. They have their website, and they've been doing some amazing work. I don't want to take and kind of blow the trumpet. I kind of say something about the She and Tech Empowerment. But tell us about She and Tech Empowerment, achievement, impact, and what is the inspiration?
Okay, awesome. If you remember at the beginning of my talk, when I was speaking about some of the challenges I faced climbing up the ladder, so it's the lack of having people that I can identify with in my career, in my career journey. Technology, digital, computer science related courses up to today, there's stereotypes. It's stereotyped more around, women cannot do, it's not a woman thing, it's a man thing. And so many of these biases exist. So just rewind it back to 30 years ago, and then 30, yeah, about almost 30 years ago, and then you can just imagine what it would look like. So knowing that, when I came into the industry and when I went to other international platforms, I realized what it would have done to me if I had had access to mentors at the early stage of my career. And being one of the few women in this field, one of the few persons in this field, I get a lot of people reaching out to me to ask questions because they see someone who has done it. They reach out to me, parents and individuals, saying, "Oh, how can you help me with my child? How can this happen? How can that happen?" So that I started to do it informally, and the number kept on increasing. As an individual, it's I have limitations. I'm not an AI, right? I'm a human intelligence. So there's definitely a limit of how much you can take on. And also having that opportunity to sit on a position of driving innovation entrepreneurship in Nigeria, I saw a lot of opportunities of taking the country from where we are to where we have never even imagined ourselves to be. And I saw some of the challenges of being in government, the restrictions of being in government, that I would not be able to implement some of these things. Like I told you, it's an ecosystem approach. Every stakeholder has its own role. So I realized that some of the things that I wanted to drive have to be driven outside my 9 to 5. So putting all this together, I now said, I now started looking at, how to create this movement to support, technology, entrepreneurship, to build the right skills, especially AI, to give Nigerians, Nigerian youth, the opportunity to have a mentor, to have mentorship, leveraging on the many networks that I've created, rising, right? Whether it's in all over the world. So leveraging on that network. So for example, now I have you in my contact, and I know what you do. I know your research field. So it was an opportunity for me to help in connecting the dots and supporting people to grow. So it was a no-brainer. It started off 2 years ago. It's a lot of work, right? Because the mindset, like I mentioned, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that once I started working on it, I find it even more interesting than the regular things that I do, because I have a level of control. I can do and undo. I can fail and laugh it off, and just stand up and continue and take it as a learning point and keep moving on. So it gave me a different level of satisfaction, and the impact that I've seen it's making on our mentees and even our mentors. Because I've started having even, Nigerians in diaspora, Nigerians in other sectors or in places they are feeling not very fulfilled, but they're having this avenue or platform to be able to give back, right? Their expertise. So it has been amazing. It has been amazing. We're still in our early stage, where that's one of the main reasons why I'm really looking at on getting grants, so that we can be able to create, real sustainable impacts that would live beyond, us. So in our own small way, we'll continue to make sure that we create that impact. And for everyone listening here,
Yeah.
we would really want you to go out there and join us. We're on all social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. We have a website, it's www.sheandtech. It's a good platform for me to speak about She and Tech. So www.sheandtech.com. So follow us. There's so much you can do. There's so much you can benefit from. Like you said, Zaid, it's all about having the right knowledge. If you sit down and you don't know the opportunities that exist out there, or that you can have access to one person, to unlock a potential for you, then that's where the big problems lies. And we should stop looking at quick wins. We need to open up our minds and understand that um, we build success through time. And for the other young people, you can volunteer. If you have a skill or you don't have a skill, but you're interested in building a skill or creating the right network, Shiante gives you an opportunity to build the right skills through volunteering, which is something that we also need to do a lot of work around in Nigeria.
Yeah,
So,
great.
I can speak about this for the whole day, Zaid, but
Yeah.
I'll take up now.
I know it's something that is kind of really close to your heart, and I can see it keeps just coming. But what, in terms of figures, how many mentees have you trained? How many
We
mentors do you have now online? What state do you cover? Is it online? Is it physical?
Excellent. So we started off with going to secondary schools, and we were able to go to secondary school, no, not one, three secondary schools in one state, in the six geopolitical region. So 6 times 3 is about 18 schools. Yes, 18 schools. And in each of these schools, we would have access to at least 100 students. And for them, what we were doing was role modeling. So I myself or some other professionals, and then people within their state, would gather them, and then we would go together as a movement to speak about the different careers you can do, to stand up and tell them that we can do it, and also to share and support them, in other ways. It has been fantastic. We went back and did a survey, this year, after like a year, and we found out how many young people have now decided to drop some of the courses they thought they were going to do and focus on STEM related courses. They've stopped thinking that it's something they cannot do. Honestly,
Wow.
yes, honestly. They even reached out to us to say, can we help with like school fees and things like that? Because some of them that thought would stop after secondary school are now looking at avenues to continue with their education. And so we're a hybrid. We do both physical and virtual, due to fund constraints, really, because the physical has more impact. But when you don't, yes, but when your fundings are restricted, you have to be able to compromise and have high virtual sessions. So we do a lot of webinars. We do webinars on all to mark all the days. We have our flagship program, the Mentor Match, where we put out an application. Yes, mentors applied, mentees applied. We did a match. We would have access to general sessions and would have access to one-on-one sessions. It's been, I think we all need to go to our social media platforms to go and see what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
So for that, I think in numbers, I would say we have impacted over almost 2,000 people. But for the direct one-on-one mentorship that I'm speaking about, I would say over 300. We've also built skills. We build skills around, we have programs where we're building either digital literacy skills or AI skills. We've had partnership with Google's Ariwali This in Tech program, which we did in partnership with Data Science Nigeria. So there's so much of it that we're doing. For the digital skills, we have, I think, for that, we've had 3 cohorts, and in each cohort, we have about 60 people. So that's about 180, right?
Yeah.
So
that's,
yes.
those are
But
impressive numbers, and
yes,
I'm really sure that we're gonna see a lot. But she and tech, is it only restricted to she, or other she's can come in as well?
Yes, we keep getting that question. No. So we have mentors that are men, we have mentees that are men. So actually the she and tech means she empowerment, that's women empowerment, and then technology empowerment. And technology is not gender biased, technology is for everyone.
Okay.
I hope that clarifies it.
Yeah, so and that particularly reminded me of what I saw, I think, just minutes or kind of like an hour to this before we go online. I saw a picture on social media, particularly of a young lady with a kind of a cardboard like raisin, saying that she graduated with computer science and she's looking for a job. And what resonated in my mind is like, definitely this person doesn't have a mentor, because if you definitely have a mentor, you will not be going through that kind of phase. And it's been a kind of thing of, it's been something now that you see students, you go through the system of learning, you are expected to have sharpened the way you think in problem solving. And one of your problem to solve is like, how do I put myself at a position of advantage, no matter the disadvantage, no matter whatever you can call Nigeria it is, how can I make myself employable? How can I make myself? We are a country of more than 200 million people. Like, there is
And
nothing
what
you
are
cannot be marketed.
yes, so that I don't cut you. Sorry for cutting you, Zaid.
It's
But
okay. Yeah.
what are the opportunities for me out there? Must we wait and look for government jobs?
Yeah.
Can't we start our own entrepreneurship? Can't we build the right skills so that we can become freelancers?
Yeah.
How can we get
Yeah.
access to? So we really undermine the value of mentorship.
Exactly. And that is like what, for all listeners that are listening and those that are going to listen later on, find a mentor, whether through the She and Tech, whether through on platform by RTC, whether through the Science Communication Hub Nigeria. Find a mentor. Whatever you are doing, find a mentor. No matter how negligent it is, find a mentor. No matter how stupid the question might sound, ask questions. But that is the only way we can be able to kind of have people that are productive, not only having qualifications, but people that can help themselves, help the society, and together will build a better society for our own children and children's to come. Don't forget to follow Science Communication Hub Nigeria, which kind of is working hard to bring this segment of talks with you to you, and do follow us on our social media handles and look out for all our programs. We're going to be moving into the foresight and the future thinking segment, and I have a very, very important question for the speaker today. If you had the power to change one thing today to fast track, let me just limit it back to Nigeria's digital transformation, what would it be? The $1 million question.
Very $1 billion. So you're saying if I had superpower, right? There are
Yeah.
many of these things that are very important, but I would say, let me think. I think a key thing that would unlock a lot of things is connectivity. Without a doubt, I would make sure that there is universal, affordable, reliable, access to internet connectivity, especially in the rural area and the underserved communities. Why do I say that? Because I've seen how, when mobile started, a lot of people were saying, how can you be able to use mobile when a lot of people are illiterate? And tell me what's happening in terms of mobile.
Yeah.
Your tomato seller tells you they will tell you when you go, you say, I don't have cash. They will say, oh,
Yeah.
I have POS.
People like, remember the stigma around like depositing money in the bank.
Exactly. Or people even having bank accounts.
Bank accounts, not everybody, like the one that can have a signature, the one that just thumbprints, the one that will take someone to kind of go, you must have a bank account to be able to. So that is technology and transformation. Like, people have to think.
Yes. So now we're at the stage where you have the device, but you need connectivity. You need connectivity to be able to learn the digital skills, the digital literacy. Connectivity can help education. Connectivity can help. We spoke about how AI can support or can be a game changer for sectors like agriculture, health, right? So this sector transformation, connectivity can make it happen. Different kinds of innovations, connectivity. Remote work. We're saying, you saw the lady with the placard. She doesn't even know she can have access. I've worked with a lot of staff, whether it's a secretary or a graphic designer or whatever, in across Nigeria,
Yeah,
that I've never met. Some I still
exactly.
haven't met. I'm telling you, but they're giving me the result I want, and I'm paying them.
This particular
Yes,
design is like I've been working with the person for 4 to 5 years. I never met him.
look at for what 4 to 5 years.
Four
Look
to
at
five
that.
years. Yeah.
Look at
This
that.
particular design, like I had to
Wow.
find bump into him, and he's been amazing. And all my designs, like I just tell him that
Look,
do this.
look at that. So you don't even need to meet. So that's what I'm saying. If you don't go out, if you don't go to the right networks, create the right networks, and that's what happens to you when you have a mentor. Um, you would, even on social media, you would know the right people to follow.
Exactly.
Um, if you were following the right person, you would have definitely come across something like this podcast. So this is happening, conversations are happening, opportunities are being said, but where are you? Probably on TikTok creating a video, that
Exactly.
would not make any difference for you. So
Yeah.
access, just give the access, just like we just brought the telecoms companies here. So just make sure that every area, if I had superpower, I would just um, strike my wand and make sure that there is connectivity or internet access across every state, every local government in Nigeria, because it will create global competitiveness for us. Absolutely.
I hope you have that superpower.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Personal reflections. What
yeah.
keeps you motivated? Because I see when I just before this segment start, I kind of was on your LinkedIn page and I saw a lot of invites, a lot of things. You toggle a lot of things at once. I know it's kind of like really, really hard to be able to have all those things in one plate. The motivation will definitely go up and down, and you have been doing this for over 20 years. What
Mm.
keeps you motivated?
So it's in a bit and pieces of the things that I've already said.
Hmm.
It's in identifying and having the opportunity to not just look at it from the outside, but to be part of it. Um, Working in a national capacity on innovation, digital innovation, and entrepreneurship, having the opportunity to move around the country, and then working on digital skills, right? Going from different platforms, formal and informal, you know, and all that. I had the opportunity to really see the untapped potential across Africa, not even Nigeria. We have untapped potential. Yes, there are challenges, but even despite the challenges, things are happening. So I went to the UK and I saw, and I was a game changer for me. And I don't see any reason why a Nigeria cannot even surpass that.
Exactly.
If And we can do it. The only thing, the difference is they have they are creating functional long-term systems and plans that they follow through, and they are very deliberate. So we can also do that. So I keep getting motivated every morning knowing that I can play, even if it's a small role, even if it's a mentorship, even if it's just standing up and being a role model and telling the next person that I'm here, I did it. If I'm able to go from the stage that I am, with all my intersectional differences, being Muslim,
Hmm.
black, all that, and Nigerian, from here to move to where I am today, that when you speak about my profile has helped me in so many situations that you cannot even imagine. So just mentioning that, I have a PhD in AI, people will just turn and like with your hijab, black, African, that maybe when they saw me, they didn't even think I could speak English. So
Yeah.
knowing that I can play that small role to shape, you know, not just the next girl's life, but but how technology works for people, and how people can also leverage on that technology to be better versions of themselves.
Hmm.
Honestly. And I am a very curious person, like I mentioned from the very beginning. And this tech landscape is evolving. So I still haven't gotten to the point where I'm no more excited. So there's always something new to learn, explore, or challenge. So personally, I'm still enjoying the field, and it keeps me motivated because there's always something new. I took a year off last year, and part of the things that I did is I wanted to bridge that skill gap, for myself. So I went into research, I went into academia to do research on how AI is now starting to affect and would continue to affect teaching, learning, and research.
Hmm. That's
Yes.
interesting.
Yes, so it was really interesting. So there's so much to do. There's so much to do, and there's yeah. So
Yeah,
those
and
things keep me
I love,
motivated.
yeah, I love the kind of you consistently mentioned that you're
Yeah.
a curious person, and for you to excel in any kind of field, curiosity has to be the key. Do
Mm.
not take any excuses, and be proactive. Proactiveness is the key, and I hope that people that have um, been listening to this segment from the beginning will or have been inspired by your own story, the challenges you have been through, the achievement you have, and still the hunger, despite the achievement, but the hunger is still fresh, like a just person that is graduating from high school. Yeah.
Yeah,
So looking
interesting.
back, what is your proudest moment and achievement?
Proudest moment.
Yeah.
I think, with all I know, with all the certificates I have, I would say one of my proudest moment has been becoming a pioneer Nigerian woman to
Mm.
earn a PhD in a STEM subject and artificial intelligence, for that matter. Not just the title for me. It's not about, saying and swinging a paper to say that, but for
Yeah.
what it represents, right?
Yeah.
It's not just a personal achievement for me. It's
Mm.
about creating the right platforms where, we were creating a path. I'm creating a path to light the way for others, for other people coming, right?
Mm.
So it
Yes.
gives me pride. Yes, it gives me a lot of pride to see how my journey has inspired and is continuing to inspire not just young women but men, across the globe, to go into STEM, to speak up, to kind of start to believe more in themselves and believe that they can do tech, right? So
Mm.
yes, the PhD, all the accolades, you speak about first class, you speak about distinction and all that. Yes, alhamdulillah,
Mm.
but it's a proud milestone on its own, but it's the ongoing contribution to build inclusive tech ecosystems in Nigeria and supporting the growth of the average Nigerian is what gives me the most pride.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed. And I just can want to conclude with saying that for any country that wants to develop or is kind of keen on development, then the key thing it should look at is how many grounded PhD holders that the country has on ground.
Absolutely, I agree
Exactly.
with you.
You have to go into research if you are really want to kind of progress in any field of endeavor in the country is. So this come to the end of my set of questions I planned for you for the evening. And let's move into the comment section to see. Thank you all that have been kind of patiently and have been following this program from the start to the end, over an hour of discussion with our amazing speaker today. And we would like to kind of encourage you to follow our social media platform, Science Communication Hub Nigeria. And also don't forget to check the website of She and Tech for opportunities. We have amazing opportunities in Biomedical Research and Training Center as well, which is supporting our program under the Science Communication Hub Nigeria. Check our website also on www.biotc.com, www.sciencommunicationnigeria.hub.com, and also on our social media platforms. So we've had in the comment section, we have had a lot of people have been kind of saying, "MashaAllah, loving the discussion," which is awesome. That's a brilliant. Glad to hear. Glad to be here. From Abubakar Rabi Amato, Mubarak Ismaili, superb, interesting discussion. Muhammad Mustafa is in mashallah, very interesting discussion. That is Francis Aborigo. Sorry if I did not pronounce your name well. 8 to 9 years ago, AI was more abstract in conversation than now, which it is more practical. Just like to say everyone has a level of access to it, and that is a comment, and it shows that the person is indeed following our discussion. From YouTube, we have MD Adewale saying your expertise in innovative digital framework is truly impressive. The way you weave together technology and insight to drive impactful solutions is a rare gift. Thank you, MD, for your comment. You are pushing the boundaries in the VR field and inspiring others with your work. On behalf of the speaker, I say thank you. I feel chills as well. Thank you for the precious time. My question is, what is the impact of AI in our day-to-day activities? I think we have answered this, but nonetheless, I'm going to give opportunity for the speaker to just say 1 or 2 sentences on this.
Excellent. So, if you've ever heard of generative AI, we have our Chat GPT and DeepSeek. So, it's at the point when people start to use computers, right, and applications and system, it used to be Google. Everything you want to look for, they will say search it on Google. In fact, Google became like a search, just Google it, right?
Google it, exactly.
Yes, Google it. So, but now we have AI changing, starting to look like it's going to take over a lot of jobs. People are now looking like they are professional writers. Any proposal you want to write, any question you want to ask, whether it's religious, it's about a language, it's about a country, any single thing. You don't need 2 or 3 hours to come up with, you don't need 2 or 3 days to come up with anything. You just need to learn how to do prompts. Drop it on the generative AI, on Chat GPT or any of those, and then you get a response. You know what I mean? So it can even help you. I was doing. My son had an assignment. In secondary school, and they were supposed to write a presentation on something, and I told him to go and work on it. They are digital natives, so he just went and he took the topic, and he said he even put like the grading metrics to say, oh, I wanted to make sure that this is this, it has colors, so the presentation came, and then it even said, okay, create a PowerPoint for me, add pictures, so you just keep prompting it and making it better, and then you just have it. Of course, there are challenges that come with that, but this is how much it's affecting our day-to-day lives. Things like Siri. You don't even need to type on your phone to even ask those questions. You just need to press the Siri button, which is like a virtual assistant. You just say, Siri, I'm in Abuja. I'm trying to look for the closest halal restaurant here so that I can have my dinner. All the restaurants would come. You don't need to go out and be asking, please, is there a restaurant here? So it's truly a game changer. And there's so many of these examples.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of add with some words, golden words from Henson Huang, who is the CEO of NVIDIA, one of the brightest minds like this century have seen. And he was asked, if you are a student in this generation, what particular skill will you be focusing on? He said generative AI. So if you are a youth, what you should focus is like, how do we interact with these artificial models and whatever they are coming out? Generative AI is very powerful because it has the power of transforming whatever thing you are doing. I wanted to kind of like really, courses on that is really expensive, but I kind of like really go and learn that.
Totally, I agree with you. So we should stop thinking and limiting ourselves and saying AI is here to take our jobs. We should try and find out how we can leverage on this AI to enhance what we're doing.
Yes. Yeah. This is an amazing question from Abubakar Abimat, who said, my question goes this way. I think many would like to know the key elements the speaker used in navigating her purposes at early stage, which I believe are the fundamentals to her achievement and successes through her career, and also related to the upcoming young generation, which is now becoming a bit difficult for them. That's a very long question.
Yes. And I think in my conversation, I spoke a lot about them, but exactly. I think it's still a good idea to maybe put it in more context based on your question. Excellent question, Abu Bakr. So, firstly, a curious mindset. Start with that curiosity. Secondly, I think one of the things that has helped me in life is I have grit. Don't start things and drop it halfway, right? Start
Yes.
things and commit to it. You would fail, but you should try and understand why you failed and try to see how you can either forge forward moving in the same direction or deflect it. Always have a plan. That's one of the things that I teach my mentees. As an individual, right? I always sit down right from the time that I was young. I would sit down and then I would think about it and I would say, okay, you design. I'm a person who is very religious. Alhamdulillah, I am a Muslim and I am a practicing Muslim. So I know everything that I do. I can plan, I can do this, but ultimately God has the final say. But God says you can't just sit down and say God will do it for me. So I will sit down at every stage in my life up to this point that I'm speaking. I would sit down, I would have a paper and pen, or you can use your laptop and then look at it. Who am I? Where am I? What am I? What do I enjoy doing? And this is one of the things that this upcoming young generation is losing.
Yeah.
You're too carried away by doing
A lot
and
of
distraction. So you're allowing distractions to carry you along. Just flip. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. So you have to drop some of these things if you really want to see progress in your life. There's no two ways about it. So sitting down, plan, understand who you are, where you want to be, right? Creating paths for you to create opportunities for yourself. Okay. And also praying. I pray a lot. You need to pray and seek for guidance, through divine guidance and also the people, your loved ones that are around you. When you set the goals for yourself, you need to work towards making it happen. Okay. So basic things as even tomorrow, I already have my plans. So part of the work that I do is I've resumed work. So we have to submit our quarterly appraisal forms. So it's one of the things that I wrote in my to-do list for tomorrow, quarterly appraisal forms. There's a presentation I'm going to do. It's also there. So I put all these things down and I make sure that I give them some certain amount of time. And in the morning before I leave, because once I have that set, I know that most, and I think them through, and as I think them through in my brain and say, okay, this is the kind of things I want to see, this is the kind of things I want to see. Even coming here to do this, right? A few hours before then, I sat down and I kind of conceptualized what was going to happen. Oh, a story about a researcher. Who am I? These are my fields. What would they want to hear? You have to be deliberate. You have to practice. You have to put in an effort and you have to see it happen. So once you have, one of the things that I really like is when I have those lists, I'm able to check them as I move along. It gives you this good feeling to say that, oh, I've been able to make some of these progress, and it will push you, in those times when you're feeling, oh, I've not been making good progress. Everybody has their ups and downs to say, if I was able to do this and that, why can't I move to the next one? And in whatever you're doing, don't be selfish. That's one of the things that I am. I don't hide any knowledge that I have. I want everybody to understand what I'm doing. I also like to see that even people surpass, my ideas. I love to work with people that have brilliant minds, brilliant ideas. So keep an open mind, listen to people, learn, teach what you know. Okay. And then keep yourself accountable, be accountable for the things that you want to do, create plans for yourself, be diligent and pray. So I hope this kind of helps you. And of course, speaking specifically to the young and upcoming generation, you will not go far focusing your life on the internet. If you don't take anything away from me, please take this away. You have to be reading books. You have to have a collection of physical books. Read it. It has a different way of transforming you. It's not the same with all these audio. They're good. They're fantastic. They're one way, but don't leave the books. Have your physical books, learn from your physical books, stay away from always actively being on social media, being a consumer, right? Consuming other people's, because really what we are is what we hear, what we see, what we do. We feel we know it, but it's as a result of everything around us. So create the right things around yourself so that you can be able to have success both in your careers and life in general. So I hope
That's
that, yeah.
yeah, that's really encompassing, and I just want to kind of ice it with kind of a study that was done. You met in the initial of answering the question, you made some mention of grit, and that is an interesting study done in the US. Over is a longitudinal study of about 30 years, and they track they itemize the number of key elements required for success among set of students in junior high school, in terms of financial stability, in terms of economy, in terms of intelligence, in terms of, and they itemize it and they follow the path of those students from junior up to their like after university. And the key determinant of success is not lack of finances, is not intelligence, is not anything but grit. How much do I want this? Ask your question, ask yourself this question. How much do I want to achieve this? That is your own golden key. It will push you beyond your own level of kind of whatever natural talent you have. It will push you beyond that to achieve whatever you want. And I will kind of suggest each and every student to kind of like earmark what our speaker has mentioned answering this question. And we have to make sure that we kind of get this particular section trimmed and post it so that people will benefit from it. So we have had going back to the comment section. Yes, somewhere. Yeah, we had.
I just want to add, Zaid, I don't want to let this go. So I hope the listeners are seeing how when I respond to your questions, how Zaid tries to relate it to data or some sort of research, you would say, that has happened around that. So this is the position where we should be, that we're not just speaking from our own subconsciousness, but we're speaking with confidence, and we're speaking with help me with the word.
Based on research.
Yes, with research, with data, with
data,
confirmation.
Yes,
You
based on
understand
things are certain beyond any kind of prediction. It's the reality.
That's why research is important. Research is the bedrock of every economy that you can think of. That's why research is extremely important. Thank you. I didn't want to let that go. Yeah.
So yes, we have some kind of someone probably that know about She and Tech, and since stay connected with She and Tech, join our community online from Josefa Ayuba. Probably you might know him, Adam. Yeah, so he's kind of saying a lot about She and Tech on the comment section, and it's very good. People can see it on our. That is Sarah Turabio asking a question, but it's already answered. And the Adewale, thank you very much. Kudos. Francis Arik, so he's saying from my own perspective, he's going giving his perspective as well. Thank you for your own perspective. Adamu Umar Bayu, thank you for the guide, young and ladies, something like that. Yeah. So this Umar Sagir Motawale is asking about biotech internships. You can check. Today's talk is mainly on our speaker is an expert on artificial intelligence and biomedical internship. But you can check BioRTC website www.biortc.com, which is a center dedicated to kind of for those, and you can check what we have available, and if there are internships, there are lab visits, and there are a lot of things. And if it's not enough, you can send us a mail, and we'll be able to respond through that. Francis, have you physical toolbox deliberate and planned? Okay. Francis is kind of actively following research is the bedrock of every common economy you can think of. Thank you, Francis. You have been really engaging, and we have appreciated your insights. And on behalf of the speaker, myself, and all those that have worked hard behind the scenes to see that we bring this program live to you on our social media handles, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and also the GAY's social media handles. We said thank you for joining and staying connected to us. Remember, this segment is available on demand on our YouTube channel on Science Communication Hub Nigeria. Yunusa Mohammed, thank you. Good job by RTC. He's one of my mentors. Thank you, Yunusa, for that. From Canada. Thank you. So on behalf of everyone and the speaker, myself, Zaid Mohammed, who is the moderator of this, we say thank you for listening and watch out for our next episode coming soon. Goodbye.